Hello, everyone, and welcome to the most recent House Call Special Edition video chat. I'm Kevin Kunzman with HCP Live. Adding to our ACC virtual coverage today with Dr. Hadley Wilson, Executive Vice Chair of Atrium Health, Sanger Heart and Vascular Institute, and ACC Board of Trustees member and Chair of the Membership Committee. Dr. Wilson has a lot of perspective both into what went into the agenda and discussion points highlighting ACC 2020 this year, and also has perspective on the current COVID-19 pandemic and the ACC's response to it, as well as some perspective as to exactly what the implications are for cardiovascular risk patients right now. So Dr. Wilson is joining me virtually right now, and do you want to just take a moment to say hi to everyone?
Hello, Kevin and everyone. Happy to be with you today and to try and share as much information as we can together.
Maybe since that's the headlining discussion point from ACC 2020 right now, Dr. Wilson, can you talk a little bit about the decision to move to a virtual format for this year?
So I think everybody agrees that was the right thing to do, which is to postpone one of the largest, if not the largest, international meeting of cardiovascular clinicians throughout the world, not only the U.S., but throughout the world, but to cancel that from the large Chicago Convention Center because of just the obvious implications of having people who might either be carriers or even symptomatic going through a large convention hall and further spreading this virus problem. So several weeks ago, the Board of Trustees came together and actually on a urgent call and over much thought, realized it would be best, despite all the other ramifications of people who'd already had plans and hotels and expenses, et cetera, that the right thing to do here was, of course, cancel the meeting for this year. And as one has said, also with challenges, there's also potential opportunities. And we looked at this as let's not just cancel the meeting entirely. Let's look at ways that we can still get this extremely important cardiovascular information with these late-breaking clinical trials and these other presentations that are so important to cardiovascular health, not only in the U.S., but throughout the world, to get that information out. And that's when we went to a similar format as we're having right now, which would be to schedule a virtual meeting this weekend and actually have presentations going on with the speakers that presenting the scientific papers and actually having the panelists also remotely and virtually being able to comment and discuss these important scientific additions and try and get that very important information out, again, worldwide through this medium. So that's what we have planned. It's exciting. We're already in the late planning stages of this virtual ACC 20, and the schedule will be similar to ACC 20 in that it will start Saturday morning as it was scheduled. You can just stream in and see the presentations pretty much on the same schedule for Saturday, Sunday, and possibly Monday as was originally scheduled. Obviously, people have lots of responsibilities in these trying times in terms of clinical care and so forth, but this will allow people to stream in when they can. They'll also be recorded, so if they're not able to take place or be present at that time, they can actually review that later in the day or even days later as needed. So anyhow, we're looking at this as an opportunity. And again, we know that with the coming generations, there's people that are attending less of these large 20,000 plus meetings and looking to get their information as we are right now online rather than in community settings. So this may also be an opportunity for us to provide more information in the future instead of in large gatherings. So we're working on it. We're staying positive, and right now we're on schedule and everything looks good.
I got to commend you guys relative to a lot of the meetings that we were planning to cover in the coming months that have obviously almost all have been canceled or postponed already. It seems like the response from the ACC to go to the virtual format was I guess the most expedient and the most efficient, it seems, in terms of how much you're going to be able to still cover and provide for everyone that was planning to go. And from that optimist perspective, what do you guys, I guess, hope to learn from how this virtual meeting will go? Is there anything that you're looking at sort of as a format to be tested and see as potential use in future meetings, even if they are still in person?
Absolutely, and I'll digress and go back to one of the things you brought up, which is this was probably, well, it is the first largest international meeting that was, canceled in its face-to-face format. But since that time, all other meetings have followed suit, as far as I can tell, for the next 90 days. So I think it was important to take that upper role and say, yes, we will commit. There are a lot of issues, but that we'll commit and we'll cancel this meeting. And then it's actually potentially made it easier for a lot of other meetings to cancel. And now, as you said, to go and try this virtual format and see if, this is also a very viable way, and we think it will be, to transmit the important information safely throughout the world. So we're going to be able to actually, look and see how many people have tuned in, have streamed. We'll be able to count the numbers. We'll actually be able to see if those approach the 20,000 plus numbers that we normally would expect with a large ACC meeting, and also not only be able to see how many are doing this at the time, but also down the road how many actually cumulatively are able to receive this information. So those are a lot of things we can learn. Is how effective is this, not only in real time, so to speak, but also down the road, and see if maybe it's possible that the actual information will exceed the 20,000 that people that are actually reached either at the time or on the recordings and streamed at a later date. So that's one of the major things. The other, of course, is just like now we're looking to see technically how well we can deliver this and what are the improvements we can make for future meetings. Perhaps we'll get, in more professional settings in terms of, certainly we can do a lot, with our laptops and so forth as we're doing now. But, some places maybe we'll actually be doing these in studios and so forth in the future to improve quality, particularly of the transmission of slides and videos and so forth. So a lot of things to be learned, and we're staying positive, and we're also hoping that everybody will certainly, and I think they will, understand that this is a new method, and that they'll be patient and hopefully understanding and stay tuned.